I'm going to show you two sets of stats between players. Player A averages 31 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, nearly 6 assists per game on nearly 52, 32, 84 splits with a 58 true shooting percentage, 29.7 PER, and 38.4 minutes per game. Player B averages nearly 31 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, nearly 6 assists per game on 52, 35, 88.9 splits, a 63 true shooting percentage, near 29 PER, and under 35 minutes per game, just barely though. Why do I bring up these stats? Well, player A is Michael Jordan during the regular seasons of his first three-peat with the Bulls. Player B is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander over these past 2.5 seasons. Now, am I saying SGA is as good as Jordan was? I wouldn't take it that far, but I bring this up to say that Shai is having a historically great offensive stretch over these past 2.5 seasons. Based on team record and impact, I do believe Shai is the front runner for MVP as of right now. He's having another historically great season. He's the engine of, in my opinion, one of the 3 best teams in the NBA and the best team in the Western Conference by far right now. He's impacting the game on both ends of the floor at a high level. And I want to talk about just how special of a player Shai really is. But before we go any further, if you're new and like basketball, I'd really appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I'm notified whenever I release a video. If you enjoy basketball, I really think you're going to enjoy my content, and doing all those things are the best way to let YouTube, but more importantly myself, know that you enjoy the content so I can make more of it in the future. Anyways, let's talk about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Since 2023, Shai has been an analytical darling. He's never been below the 97th percentile in offensive box score plus minus during this stretch. Over the last 2 seasons, he's been in the 99th percentile. In terms of estimated plus minus over the last 3 seasons, he's also never been below the 97th percentile. He was in the 99th percentile last season, and this season he's in the 100th percentile. Now, the one that stood out the most to me when looking at the numbers was his estimated wins, which takes his estimated plus minus relative to minutes played to show how many wins he's estimated to contribute to his team. The previous 2 seasons, he was in the 99th percentile in this stat. Well, this season, he's in the 100th percentile. This stands out because being in the 99th percentile for estimated wins in 2023, when his team missed the playoffs after losing in the play-in, shows that he is a superstar impact player. So despite the team record, he had a superstar impact, and they would have been way worse if he didn't play that season. And I understand that these numbers aren't a perfect measure, they don't paint the full picture, but at the same time, given his minutes played, the usage, the production, and efficiency, it does suggest the impact of a superstar player over these past 2.5 or so seasons. But for as elite as his statistical profile is, the tape is even better. Shai is one of the best rim pressure threats in the NBA regardless of position. I believe he's the best guard in this aspect of the game. This season, he's shooting 70.5% at the rim on 6.5 attempts per game. That's incredible given how much of that is on the ball, and also the fact that he's a 6'6", 180-pound guard. And those are numbers comparable to traditional drop bigs that are getting almost all of their production assisted on at the rim. And historically, he's been a high volume rim pressure threat. Since his second NBA season, he's never been below the 92nd percentile in rim volume, and since his third season, he's never been below the 95th percentile in this regard. Now, I want to bring up this narrative that some people have about Shai, which is this idea that he's a free throw merchant. However, I don't think that's really true. Elite players that attack the rim are going to draw fouls. Outside of Steph Curry, there really isn't an elite guard that doesn't draw fouls at a high rate. And even then, Shai only has 1 season where he's averaging double-digit free throw attempts. He's been below 9 free throw attempts per game over the last 2 seasons, and both of these seasons are better than the season he averaged over 10 free throw attempts. On top of that, he has 8 games where he has scored at least 30 points this season, while also taking less than 10 free throw attempts, and that includes a 40-point game, 39-point game, 36-point game, and 2 35-point games. So that's 5 games where he's scoring at least 35 points, where he's not taking double-digit free throw attempts, and that leads the NBA, if I remember correctly. If that's not the case, he's pretty close to leading the NBA. It's impressive regardless. In fact, only 13 of his 32 games so far, he's taken at least 10 free throw attempts. Over half of his games, he's not taking 10 free throw attempts. In the 19 games he's taking less than 10 free throw attempts, he's averaging 29 points per game, 5.4 rebounds per game, and 5.8 assists per game on 52.9, 32.3, 89.8 splits, a 62.3 true shooting percentage, and averages 5.2 free throw attempts per game. So he's still an elite player even when he's not taking a bunch of free throws, and when you watch him play, it makes sense. He's stronger than you think at 180 pounds, he has incredible contact balance, one of the most flexible players I've ever seen, he has good quickness and speed, he has a handle that combined with all of that allows him to get to his spots at will. He can contort and find angles that are impossible to defend without fouling. He has incredible footwork. He's not fazed by help defense. He's not fazed by clogged paint. He's not fazed much by physicality. And this is why he's someone I trust not only in the regular season, but also in the playoffs, where it is more physical. You can't rely on just hitting jumpers, and getting to the rim is the most important thing. That's what separates stars from superstars in the playoffs, and he's one of the best in the league at it. On top of his rim pressure, he's also one of the best creators in the non-rim 2-point area of the court. And overall, he's also one of the best creators on the ball in general in the NBA. He's in the first percentile for assisted production over the last 5 seasons, and he's never been higher than the 13th percentile in this category, which is really impressive. That includes his rookie year, where he was averaging 10 points per game. A majority of his offense in that season was still created on the ball. For a guy that was a 30-point per game scorer, is having at least a 62 true shooting percentage and 51 field goal percentage over the last 2.5 seasons. That's impressive. Almost as impressive as watching him create for himself on tape. He plays at his own pace, and he doesn't allow defenses to dictate his offensive pace. He's patient, he's composed, and even when defenses try to speed him up, he doesn't stray away from what works. And it takes a special talent to do that consistently. I'm not comparing him to these players all the time. I think it would either be ridiculous or a bit much to ask, but his ability to control pace and flow is what all-time greats like Jordan, Hakeem, Duncan, and Kobe did. More recent examples are guys like Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, James Harden, LeBron James, Nikola Jokic, and Luka Doncic. Shai does that at a high level as well. I would argue the highest level, and that's what makes him so special. It's a big reason why he's a top 3 player in the world right now. He can hit those tough shots, but can also create those easy shots for himself, and he's able to blend those two skills in the same way a lot of all-time greats do. Now, Shai has never been a high-volume 3-point shooter, which is a big reason why I never understood this idea of every NBA star is relying on 3-pointers. There are plenty of NBA stars that don't rely on it, but Shai is one of them. And it makes the fact that he is an elite player so special, because while there are other players that don't rely on 3-pointers to be effective as much, not many of them are guards. In fact, I would say Ja Morant and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander are the only 2 guards in the NBA right now that aren't super 3-point reliant and are still elite players. Now, he is taking more threes this season, shooting 35% on 6.2 attempts per game, which is somewhere between average to high volume for a player of his caliber at the guard spot in terms of volume. What's been most encouraging is that he understands that the 3-point shooting is a leverage and not a focal point. It reminds me of how LeBron developed his outside shot. Now, I think Shai was a better shooter than LeBron was entering the NBA. Not a better player, don't twist my words, but as a pure shooter, Shai was more polished than LeBron entering the NBA. But the process and approach has been similar. He's never going to take an insane amount of them over a sustained stretch of games, but the volume will be solid to decent, and the efficiency will be enough to be a threat that's effective. Teams are going to focus mostly within the arc with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It makes sense. He's one of the best scorers, if not the best scorer in the NBA within the arc right now. So to have that leverage as a three-point shooter is valuable. I don't think he'll ever be Steph Curry or Damian Lillard as a shooter, but he's proven he doesn't need to be one to be a superstar. He has 2 prior seasons of proof to back this up. However, at the same time, developing his three-point shot to the point it is a part of his game, and he can maintain the high 30s efficiency on 5 attempts per game. I think that makes him a player that doesn't have a real flaw as a scorer. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the 3rd best player in the NBA in my opinion, with only Jokic and Giannis being ahead of him. I think you can make the argument for other players at that 3rd spot, but the offensive efficiency with his usage and production and the defense have him at my number 3 spot. This is a special player, not only for the game today, but also historically. He's a wizard within the arc. And despite what people want to say and believe about him, he's an elite player even if he doesn't get to the line a lot. He's elite at the most important skill for a superstar to have, which is rim pressure, and he has 2.5 seasons of all-time great production, both base statistics wise and advanced stats wise, that suggest he is a superstar. On top of that, last season's playoffs showed he can step up in big moments. I still think Jokic is the best player in the world pretty comfortably, but the Nuggets have been shaky this year and they likely will be a play-in team, and if OKC continues to win at the rate they are and Shai continues to play the way he has, I do think he should and will win MVP by the end of the season. What we are seeing isn't just elite play for the current era, it's elite play historically. I think he's going to have to win a ring or two to reach some of the heights that his production suggests he could be in, at least among the general public, but there's no reason to believe he can't reach those heights. He has the team around him that's elite already, and that's with their 2nd or 3rd best player missing most of this season. OKC is going to be a contender for a very long time. He's just entering his prime as a player, and I wouldn't be shocked if the conversation around Shai in 5 or so years isn't just about his place among the best players of this generation, but also his place among the best players to ever play the sport. But that's the end of this video for Bates' point. Thank you so much. Again, haven't already, like, subscribe, and notification bell notify whenever I release a video. I make videos about basketball, and if you enjoy basketball, I really think you're going to enjoy my content. And liking and subscribing are the 2 best ways to let YouTube, but more importantly myself, know that you enjoy the content, so I can make more of it for you guys in the future. Sorry about a lack of uploads recently. Been kind of busy with personal things, but I'm going to try to be more consistent with my uploads moving forward in 2025. Thank you guys for a great 2024, even though I wasn't the most consistent with my uploading. We made a ton of growth as a channel and community, and I can't thank you guys enough for that. Let me know what you think about SGA in the comment section below, but with that being said, have a nice day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.